The end of astronomy could be near. Can you believe Starlink has launched its 5,000th satellite into low Earth orbit? That is quite a lot. However, Elon Musk's aim to deploy over 42,000 Starlink satellites is only the beginning. This means that everyone will have access to high-speed internet. As appealing as this goal appears to the average citizen who simply wants to watch high-quality films in the comfort of his own home, it is the ultimate nightmare for the scientific community. Their observations are being seriously disrupted by near-Earth objects, which produce extremely long light streams when long-exposure photographs are taken. Will we reach a point where stars are no longer visible from Earth and the only way to see them is through images taken by space-based telescopes? Are we prepared to bid farewell to romantic starlight nights in the desert or the mountains? Everything has advantages and disadvantages, so let's take a look at what's going on here. Keep watching to learn more. Hello and welcome to Zeey. Subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to receive our daily videos. Quick review, let's all remember what these pesky little satellites are made of. To be the most effective and least expensive, the satellites run on solar panels that charge throughout the day in order to power the satellite throughout the night. This is extremely useful when ensuring that the satellites can work continuously and without interruption. As an added plus, you have a sustainable and clean energy source that doesn't emit greenhouse gases or other pollutants, lowering the environmental effect of space exploration and satellite operations. Starlink satellites are now in low Earth orbit, which is around 550 kilometers above the Earth's surface. The goal is to build a global network of satellites capable of providing internet access to even the most remote parts of the planet. Starlink has already launched over 5,000 satellites, but the goal is to eventually deploy 42,000 satellites. Elon Musk's ambition of bridging the digital divide and delivering internet access to millions of people who currently lack it is driving this ambitious objective. How considerate! Maybe you're wondering why there are so many satellites. Given the limited distance from Earth at which they orbit, that is the only method to provide global coverage. So, you may be wondering, why not fly further out and use fewer satellites? The solution is simple. This is the quickest route for information to move. When compared to GeoSat, another internet provider that orbits the Earth at a distance of 36,000 kilometers, Starlink does 70 information round trips for every GeoSat information round trip. That implies we get 70 times the internet speed we're used to. And who wouldn't want it whether you're immersed in a zombie-killing video game or enjoying the time of your life on a video conversation with loved ones? Stars or Elon Musk? Nowadays, it appears that Elon Musk may be found everywhere. If you glance to your right, you'll notice a Tesla passing by, and if you look to your left, you'll notice his face next to Mark Zuckerberg's, claiming to meet up for a physical battle. He plans to conquer what surrounds our Earth now that he has effectively conquered it. Aside from the jokes, a natural inquiry arises. How do we know what we're seeing when we're lying on the grass, stargazing? Is it really stargazing or Starlink gazing? And wouldn't a big number of satellites have an impact on ground-based astronomy? As an astronomer, I would be incensed. But Elon Musk has a solution for everything. Given that the scientific community has begun to revolt against the deployment of additional satellites, Starlink has devised a solution: dark-coded satellites. So how exactly does this work? Dark-coded satellites are intended to have a lower reflectivity, making them less visible from the ground and reducing the influence on ground-based astronomy. This covering would lower the quantity of sunlight reflected back from the satellites, making them look dimmer and less invasive to observers. On the one hand, this appears to be a positive step toward addressing astronomers' worries. It demonstrates that Elon Musk and his colleagues are aware of the potential impact of their satellite constellation on scientific research and are taking steps to mitigate it. After all, astronomers rely on bright and dark skies to collect important information about the universe. Some astronomers, however, are suspicious of the effectiveness of dark-coated satellites. Even with reduced reflectivity, it is argued that the sheer number of satellites in low Earth orbit could make spotting dim astronomical objects like distant galaxies problematic. The issue is that even if the satellites are dimmer, they could still cause streaks in long-exposure photographs or interfere with telescopes' capacity to detect and study distant astronomical occurrences. Furthermore, even if dark-coated satellites are successful in limiting the influence on ground-based astronomy, astronomers have expressed other issues. One significant concern is radio interference. The Starlink satellites communicate with one another using radio transmissions, which may interfere with radio astronomy observations. Radio telescopes already struggle to mitigate interference from numerous sources, and the advent of thousands more satellites in close proximity exacerbates the problem significantly. Space debris. Another source of concern is the possibility of space debris. With the deployment of 30,000 satellites, the probability of collisions and the formation of space debris increases considerably. This debris not only endangers other satellites, but also the International Space Station and future space missions. The buildup of space junk in Earth's orbit could create a dangerous environment that restricts our access to space. That's exactly what we need: space trash. As if traffic on Earth wasn't bad enough, now we have to deal with interplanetary traffic. Can you conceive a space-based rush hour? I'm sorry, Captain, but we're going to be late. There's a traffic jam on the route to Mars. Not to mention the plight of the International Space Station. It's already up there, minding its own business, and now it needs to avoid deadly space debris? What a way to add insult to injury. It's similar to playing dodgeball, except the stakes are much higher. But on the positive side, perhaps all of this space debris will result in some new athletic events. Can you picture it as well? Satellite dodgeball championships, the ultimate test of reaction time and space navigation abilities. In all seriousness, though, this issue emphasizes the significance of responsible space exploration. Let us hope that as we travel further into space, we will discover means to clean up our mess. Otherwise, we may have to start conducting interplanetary yard sales to get rid of all the space trash that is clogging our orbits. Elon Musk presents a solution and demonstrates how business is done once more. Every 5 years, he proposed, he would update his Starlink mega constellation with new technologies. When these satellites approach the end of their useful lives, they will be deliberately steered towards the Earth's atmosphere, where they will burn up. While this is an important step toward reducing space debris, it rapidly leads to another issue: the large number of satellites burning in the upper layers of the atmosphere. This will have unanticipated consequences for the planet's atmospheric chemistry. According to a study published in Scientific Reports, the burning of aluminum utilized in these satellites produces alumina, commonly known as aluminum oxide. Alumina has the potential to deplete ozone and interfere with the ability of the atmosphere to reflect heat. These alterations to Earth's atmospheric chemistry may have unforeseen effects for the planet's climatic balance, basically producing an uncontrolled geoengineering experiment. However, the long-term consequences of these changes are yet unknown. The worry is that these particles in the high atmosphere will remain there indefinitely. While the number of satellites burning in the atmosphere will be lower than that of meteorites, their chemical composition separates them. In comparison to the 60 tons of meteoroid material that enters the atmosphere every day, the first generation of Starlink might result in around 2 tons of dead satellites re-entering the environment each day. Meteoroids are mostly comprised of rock, whereas satellites are mostly built of aluminum, which is only found in trace amounts in meteoroids. Aaron Bowley, the researcher, warns against underestimating human potential to change the environment. He compares the situation to plastic waste in the oceans and climate change caused by human activity, highlighting the need of not repeating our mistakes with space travel in the past. Train of lights. Despite all of the bad implications that Starlink is having on scientific study and the habitability of our planet, it is nevertheless a beautiful sight to see the famed train of lights pass us by in the night sky. Let's see if you can recognize them, and if you're lucky, you might even be able to do it yourself. Everything has a time and a place, so take careful notes since this is important knowledge. The key to identifying the train of lights is to observe the sky shortly after they have been deployed. And fortunately for you, the launches are so regular that they occur nearly every week. So stay tuned for the next launch, which is scheduled for September 26th. Starlink appears to be generating quite a stir in the scientific community. Astronomers are outraged that their observations are being hindered, as well as the potential loss of romantic stargazing nights. But don't worry, Elon Musk appears to have a solution for everything. Let's see what he has planned for us. So while we may love the sight of the train of lights flying overhead, there's a lot more to think about when it comes to Starlink. That's all for now. Keep curious, keep starry-eyed, and remember that there's an entire world out there waiting to be discovered. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe and click the bell icon to receive notifications about our latest space updates.